little fox.
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, Chapter 13, The Magic of Oz. The next morning, Dorothy and her friends met in front of the throne room. Everyone but Dorothy was very excited to see Oz.
Congratulate me.
Said the Scarecrow.
Today, Oz will give me a brain.
Dorothy looked at her friends and said, I like you all as you are. A brain, a heart, and courage cannot change that.
That is kind of you to say,
said the Scarecrow.
but I would like a brain all the same.
Shall we go in?
Asked the Tin Man. The lion knocked on the door of the throne room.
Come in!
Called Oz. They found him sitting at a desk next to the window. He was thinking deeply.
I have come for my brain.
Said the Scarecrow softly.
Oh, yes.
Said Oz.
Sit down, please. First, I must place this hat upon your head. Okay? With the power vested in me, I confer a doctorate in philosophy from the University of Oz to the Scarecrow. Congratulations, Scarecrow. Here is your diploma.
Does this mean I have a brain?
Asked the Scarecrow.
It does indeed.
Said Oz.
In fact, your friends should call you Dr. Scarecrow from now on.
The Tin Man stepped forward.
I have come for a heart. Very well,
Said Oz.
but I will have to cut a hole in your chest, and it might hurt. I'm not worried about that.
Said the Tin Man.
I can bear any amount of pain for a heart.
Oz took a pair of tin shears from his desk and cut a square hole in the Tin Man's chest. He put a small heart-shaped clock inside the Tin Man.
There.
Said Oz.
You have a heart that any regular man would be proud of. Thank you.
Replied the Tin Man proudly. The lion then walked forward and said,
I have come for my courage. Here you are.
Said Oz. He handed a small green bottle to the lion.
What is it?
Asked the lion.
Well, if it were inside you, it would be called courage. Drink it.
Said Oz.
How do you feel?
Asked Oz after the lion had drunk all the liquid in the bottle.
Full of courage!
Roared the lion. The Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the lion walked out of Oz's throne room proudly. Dorothy remained behind and asked, Have you found a way for me to return to Kansas?
No.
Said Oz sadly.
It was easy to make the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion happy because they believed I could do anything. But I will need a lot more than my imagination to help you get back to Kansas.
Dorothy stayed with her happy friends while she waited for Oz to think of a plan. After 4 days, Oz came to her and said,
There might be a way.
To return to Kansas? Dorothy asked eagerly.
Yes.
Said Oz.
The one major problem for us is getting across the Great Desert. Once we cross the desert, finding Kansas should be easy. And I think I know how we can cross the desert.
How? Asked Dorothy.
In a hot air balloon.
Answered Oz. But how will you make it fly? Asked Dorothy.
Well, there are 2 ways to make a balloon fly.
Answered Oz.
With gas or hot air. There isn't any gas in Oz, so we will use hot air.
We? Asked Dorothy.
Yes, of course.
Said Oz.
I can't let you go alone. But it will take me at least a week to get everything ready. We are going to need a large balloon made of silk and a giant basket to ride in. We'll also need a bunch of ropes to tie the balloon to the basket.
Can I help? Asked Dorothy.
If you can sew, you can help to make the balloon.
Answered Oz. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, Chapter 14, Balloon Ride. When the hot air balloon was ready, Oz sent word to the people of the Emerald City. Everyone gathered to see Oz and Dorothy depart. Oz climbed into the basket and shouted to the crowd,
I'm off to see a brother wizard. While I'm gone, the Scarecrow will be your ruler. Obey him as you would obey me.
Soon the balloon was tugging at the ropes.
Come, Dorothy,
Shouted the wizard.
before the balloon flies away.
Wait! I can't find Toto! Answered Dorothy. She spotted Toto and picked him up. You're a very naughty dog, she said. Oz reached out his hands to help Dorothy into the balloon when suddenly a gust of wind snapped the ropes. The balloon quickly rose into the air without her. Come back! She screamed.
I can't, my dear.
Called Oz from the basket.
Goodbye!
The balloon rose higher and higher in the sky until it vanished behind the clouds. That was the last anyone saw of the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Dorothy dropped to the ground and cried. I'll never go home! Never! She moaned. The next day, Dorothy and her friends gathered in the throne room. The Scarecrow was sitting on the throne, and the others stood respectfully in front of him.
We are not unlucky,
Said the Scarecrow.
for this palace and the Emerald City belong to us. Now, if only we could convince Dorothy to live here with us.
But I don't want to live here, cried Dorothy. I want to go home. I want to see Aunt Em and Uncle Henry,
What can we do?
asked the Tin Man. The Scarecrow gave it careful thought and said,
Call the winged monkeys and ask them to carry you over the desert.
I never thought of that, shouted Dorothy joyfully, and she ran to get the golden hat. When Dorothy returned wearing the hat, she spread her arms, and she said the magic words. By my command! Soon the Monkey King arrived and said,
What do you command?
I want you to fly me back to Kansas, said Dorothy.
We cannot.
Said the king.
Our ability to fly is limited to Oz. Another command we will gladly obey, but we cannot fly across the great desert.
The king bowed and flew away. Dorothy was ready to cry again,
Don't cry.
said the kind-hearted Tin Man.
No, don't cry.
Said the Scarecrow.
Let us ask the soldier for advice.
They asked the soldier, and he said,
Galinda's castle is on the edge of the desert. She might know a way across.
Who is Galinda?
asked the Scarecrow.
She is the good witch of the south.
Replied the soldier. How can we get to her castle? asked Dorothy hopefully.
It is both easy and hard.
Answered the soldier.
The road is straight south, but there are many dangers.
Dorothy and her friends thanked the soldier for his advice.
The answer is simple.
Said the Scarecrow.
Yes, it is.
Said the Lion.
We'll leave tomorrow.
Said the Tin Man.
I think that's best.
Said the Scarecrow. Are you all coming with me? Asked Dorothy, surprised.
Of course!
Said the Lion.
None of us would have met Oz if it weren't for you.
Early the next morning, the friends gathered at the city gate. The gatekeeper removed their glasses and said to the Scarecrow,
You must return to us as soon as you can because you are our ruler now.
I will.
said the Scarecrow.
But first I must help Dorothy get home.
Dorothy was glad to be on her way home. The others were happy too, and they talked about how great the Wizard of Oz had been. Dorothy knew that Oz wasn't a great wizard. He hadn't returned her to Kansas, but he had tried, so she forgave him. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, Chapter 15, The Strange Lands to the South. On the second day of the journey south, Dorothy and her friends passed through an airy forest. At the edge of the forest, they came to a wall. The wall went in both directions for as far as the eye could see. The wall was white, shiny, and smooth, like the surface of a dish. It was about 5 meters high.
What shall we do now?
Asked Dorothy.
I will make a ladder.
Said the Tin Man. The first one up the ladder was the Scarecrow. When the Scarecrow reached the top, he said,
Oh my, this is amazing!
The others quickly followed him up the ladder, and all were amazed by what they saw. There were many brightly painted houses made of porcelain. Each was quite small, the biggest being only as high as Dorothy's waist. There were also pretty little barns with white porcelain fences, and many porcelain cows, sheep, horses, pigs, and chickens. The porcelain people were both strange and beautiful.
We must cross this strange place to get to the other side,
said Dorothy.
It would be unwise for us to go in any direction but south.
They walked through the land, and they came to a pretty porcelain milkmaid milking a cow. The cow gave a sudden kick. The stool, the pail, and the milkmaid were knocked over. Dorothy was shocked to see that the cow had broken its leg. The milkmaid shouted at them angrily.
Look what you have done!
We must be very careful.
Said the Tin Man.
Everything is easily broken.
Dorothy thought all these porcelain creatures were beautiful. When she saw a princess, she followed her. The princess started to run, and Dorothy kept following.
Don't chase me!
Yelled the princess.
Why not?
Asked Dorothy.
Because if I run, I might fall and break!
Answered the princess.
But you could be mended,
Replied Dorothy.
Yes, but I would not be as pretty after being mended,
Said the princess.
I think you are very beautiful. Will you come with me to Kansas?
Asked Dorothy.
If I leave this land, I will turn into solid porcelain,
Said the princess.
That would make me very unhappy.
Oh, I didn't know,
Said Dorothy.
I wouldn't want that to happen.
Dorothy and the princess waved goodbye. Soon the travelers came to another wall, and they climbed over it.
This forest is perfectly delightful.
Said the lion.
Never have I seen a more beautiful place.
It seems gloomy.
Said the Scarecrow.
Not to me.
Replied the lion.
The ground looks soft, and the moss is so green. I would like to live here for the rest of my life.
Perhaps there are animals that live here.
Said Dorothy.
Perhaps,
Said the lion.
but I do not see any of them.
They had walked only a little farther when they came to the greatest gathering of wild beasts they had ever seen.
Welcome, King of the Beasts.
Said a tiger.
Have you come to fight the monster?
What monster?
Asked the lion. The tiger described a spider-like creature as large as an elephant. The lion thought for a moment and asked,
Are there any other lions in this forest?
Not now.
Answered the tiger.
The monster has eaten them.
If I kill this monster for you, will you bow before me and call me your king?
Asked the lion.
We will.
Roared all the animals at once. The monster was sleeping when the lion found it, and it was as ugly as the tiger had described. The lion saw the monster's weakness. It had a large head that was connected to a large body by a slender neck. The lion jumped, landed on the monster's back, and used his large paw to knock the monster's head from its body. The lion returned, and the animals gave a great cheer.
I have killed the monster!
The lion declared. All the animals bowed before their new king.
Now I must help Dorothy return to Kansas.
Said the lion.
After that, I will return.
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, Chapter 16, The Journey Home. The next morning, the travelers passed through the forest and came to a steep hill,
That will be a difficult climb,
said the Scarecrow.
but over it we must go.
He had started up the hill when a rough voice said,
Keep back!
Who are you?
asked the Scarecrow,
This hill belongs to us. You cannot cross it.
said the voice again,
But we must cross it.
said the Scarecrow,
You will not.
said a flat-headed, armless creature. The Scarecrow did not fear such a helpless creature, so he continued up the hill. The creature's head struck the Scarecrow like a hammer, and the Scarecrow went tumbling down the hill. The hammerhead called down.
Climbing the hill won't be as easy as you think.
As Dorothy helped the Scarecrow up, the Tin Man suggested.
Let's call the winged monkeys. You can command them once more.
Everyone thought it was an excellent idea. Dorothy put on the golden hat, spread her arms, and said,
By my command!
A moment later, the king landed, bowed, and said,
What do you command?
Take us to the castle of Glinda, the Good Witch of the South.
She answered.
It shall be done.
Answered the king. He and his monkeys picked up the travelers and flew them south. The king and his followers dropped Dorothy and her friends off in front of Glinda's castle. Before the gate were 3 beautiful girls dressed in red. As Dorothy approached, one of the girls asked, Why have you come to Glinda's castle?
To see the Good Witch.
Answered Dorothy. What is your name? I will find out if she will see you, said the girl. Dorothy and her friends gave their names, and soon they were admitted. They were taken to a room in which a beautiful woman sat upon a ruby throne.
What can I do for you, my child?
Asked Glinda.
My greatest wish is to return to Kansas.
Answered Dorothy.
I can tell you how,
Said Glinda.
but I will need the golden hat.
You can have it.
Said Dorothy gladly.
Thank you.
Said Glinda, taking the hat from Dorothy.
I think I will need its 3 commands. What will you do when Dorothy leaves?
Glinda asked the Scarecrow.
I will return to the Emerald City.
Answered the Scarecrow.
I can help.
Said Glinda.
My first command to the winged monkeys will be for them to bring you there.
Thank you.
Said the Scarecrow.
What will you do when Dorothy leaves?
Glinda asked the Tin Man.
I think the Winkies need me.
Said the Tin Man.
I would like to return to the land of the West.
My second command to the winged monkeys will be for them to take you there.
Said Glinda.
Thank you.
Said the Tin Man.
What will you do when Dorothy leaves?
Glinda asked the Lion.
I will return to the forest where the animals have made me their king.
Answered the Lion.
My third command to the winged monkeys will be for them to take you there.
Said Glinda.
Thank you.
Said the Lion.
To the king of the monkeys, I will give the golden hat.
Said Glinda.
He has earned his freedom.
Thank you for your kindness and for helping my friends.
Said Dorothy.
But how will I get to Kansas?
Your silver shoes will take you there.
Said Glinda.
Just click the heels 3 times and tell the shoes where you want to go.
Dorothy turned to the Good Witch and said,
Thank you for helping me and my friends return home.
The Good Witch smiled as Dorothy hugged each of her friends. Then Dorothy held Toto in her arms and clicked the heels of her shoes 3 times.
I want to go home,
She said. Suddenly, everything began to spin. When Dorothy opened her eyes, she saw Aunt Em sitting next to her.
You are back,
Said Aunt Em.
Yes, it took me so long,
Said Dorothy.
I didn't know what the shoes could do.
Shoes? Asked Aunt Em.
Yes, the silver shoes from the witch,
Answered Dorothy. There's no witch, said Aunt Em. but the cyclone nearly killed you. You are a very lucky girl."
But it wasn't a dream!
shouted Dorothy. "Dream or no dream," said Aunt Em, "I'm glad you're back.